the little yellow on the front of his trunks is Jakubowski, and with a little bit of white and red around it, and the kind of blue-black trunks is Andy Foster.
Foster coming out in a southpaw stance and wasting no time in pressing the action. Jakubowski losing his purchase on the canvas, but Foster showed no inclination so far in diving on top.
Jakubowski also has the tattoos on his legs, and he takes him down.
Yeah, that was actually Foster jumping to guard. He voluntarily went to his back, usually not an advisable practice in mixed martial arts as it is in jiu-jitsu. The difference being that in mixed martial arts, your opponent can punch you in the face while you're down there. So we're going to see if Foster's ground skills are up to will justify him taking that measure.
Well, you know, this is the way he said he likes to fight, and you said that he can fight in spite of the heat. He's doing all right. As they say that, Jakubowski gets a pretty good shot, nails him in the face. But look at this pounding back is Andy Foster now.
Oh, he was setting up the armbar. He worked the leg over. Nice hip movement by Andy Foster.
Foster's got an extremely active guard, keeping it open and constantly hunting for submissions.
That time he grabbed the ropes, the referee right on top of it. You heard the crowd go, whoa!
Yeah,
Can't do that.
He was definitely going down. I think this is a disadvantage for Foster, who was going to get a nice clean sweep.
Yeah, I really, it's a contentious issue with me personally, rope grabbing, cage grabbing in mixed martial arts. I think that if a fighter makes as obvious an attempt to block a takedown as that, he should be put into the position he would have ended up in had he not grabbed the ropes.
That's a good point, Jeff. Rather, Paul. You know this stuff. You're a mixed martial artist yourself. No wonder. Boy, this is an unusual setup here now. I don't think Jakubowski realizes that Foster thinks he's at an advantage from being on his back.
Yeah, I guess he didn't get the memo because he's definitely pressing the action.
Yeah, Foster did an upward bicycle kick, and he looked at Sean Brockmole, and said, hey, can I do that? And Sean goes, yeah, he's standing perfectly fine.
He's in the bottom guard, but then he wraps the other left leg up over the shoulder, tries to reverse his way out of it. He's kind of tied up in the ropes a little bit. The ref lets him continue on. He pulls the legs off the ropes now.
Yeah, he's going to need to restart him towards the center. Foster's showing some good guard work. He's tried to slap on a couple of triangles, and now he's stuck and entangled. This has got to be restarted in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can make a case for saying that Foster's using the ropes with his feet, but at the same time, it's impossible for him not to. Every time he makes a move, his legs end up there anyway.
Jakubowski's still in the dominant position, but we pointed out a couple of times that being on his back is kind of dominant for Foster. An unusual situation. Now he's trying to get out of that. These arms are tied up.
Yeah, absolutely. You see an Americana arm lock being applied by Jakubowski, but how tight it is remains to be seen. Doesn't look like it looks like he's losing his grip.
Yeah, and that's the problem with all the sweating that both you and Jeff have pointed out here, that from the superior position now, Jakubowski on top of him trying to wrap him up is tough with all the sweat.
Yeah, this is always the danger of jumping to guard in a mixed martial arts fight. If you are an extremely adept jiu-jitsu practitioner, maybe you'll get away with it. But the bottom line is, as I was told by world champion Guy Mesger, life is always better on top, and that definitely applies to fighting.
And once again, the great defensive practices of Andy Foster allows him to re-guard, but his back is up against the rope, so he's not going to get as good of movement. I'd like to see this spun towards the center, where you turn their heads towards the center, and both guys have an equal way to win the fight. Look at him working the leg up high.
He gets it up high, and Jakubowski able to keep him down and try to move into that side mount position.
Jakubowski's been doing his defensive homework on the ground because Foster is no slouch down there, and he's made multiple lightning-fast attempts at arm bars and triangle chokes, and each time has gotten stuffed by Jakubowski.
Andy rolling those hips up there so Jakubowski really can't get the knee. Well, now he finally gets the knee up on his belly, and now he wants to drive the right knee, I suppose, into him. Instead, he goes blasting to the head of Andy Foster. Foster, really, boy, this guy's in great condition to be able to wrap your body up around like that in a circle.
Absolutely.
Now he gets that leg up high on the shoulder of Jakubowski, and Jakubowski able to maintain the dominant position from the side, trying to get a knee up there, and he hasn't really been able to blast him with the knees at all.
This fight's, I know I criticize Sean at times. He makes a lot of good calls, and finally he's going to turn him towards the center because Foster's head's completely out of the ropes. Now there's a little bit more evenly matched here. We'll see if Foster can get a leg through and re-guard and then work his magic.
Jeff, that's what you were asking for about a minute or so ago, to let them work like this. But I tell you, I mean, Foster's terrific from the bottom, but again, it's tough to wrap this guy up. Here he is trying to go for a reversal as he gets sort of a half guard there and wraps the legs around him.
Yeah, I think Jakubowski's style, he's just much more aggressive than Foster. Foster He wants, this guy takes his time. He wins a lot of his fights by taking his time.
Well, Jakubowski, don't forget, is a 20-year guy trained, 5-year professional, but with 20 years of background, the guy can fight. He's been in a lot of fights. They may have been amateur fights, but this guy can fight. Big shot that time. Look at that. And look at him drive down to the canvas. Jakubowski takes Foster down hard in the closing seconds of round number 1. Trying to get some shots off as he gets into the guard.
He's working that armbar up.
Whoa! Can he get it? Not before the whistle goes.
A true complement of contrasting styles here in round 1. You've got perpetual motion on the ground in Andy Foster with machine gun, rapid-fire submission attempts. And Grzegorz Jakubowski, which is a much more basic ground-and-pound style, just relentlessly applying the pressure, passing the guard, and trying to force his will upon Foster.
Jeff, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think Foster just got caught in the corner over there. He was unable to work. I saw him working his legs up high, going for a triangle, but it's just the aggressiveness of Jakubowski and able to pin Foster in the corner to where Foster couldn't work his primary game, which is jiu-jitsu.
You know, Foster's taller, he's heavier, and he has a significant reach advantage, but none of that really makes a lot of difference when you're fighting from your back in the down position, and Jakubowski was on top of him most of that first round. Let's see how this second round goes. The Colonel Bob Sheridan here with Paul Lazenby, the champ from Canada, and Jeffrey Osborne. Glad that he can be with us, and Hoist Gracie is going to be joining us and making comments in our ears as the afternoon progresses here from Costa Rica. You're watching Bodog Fight, round number 2.
Once again, Foster voluntarily goes to his back. At the beginning of this round, I saw official Sean Brockmull warning Foster for using the ropes too much, and I don't entirely agree with it. I don't think that he was really given much of a choice.
I agree with you, Paul. He can't do a crunch and keep his legs up off the ropes. The ropes are there. Your legs are going to go into. Look at this. Trying to transition to armbar. Once again, Jakubowski keeping his showing tremendous balance.
Boy, look at you talk about balance. Just as you said that, Jeff, he was able to almost do a sit-up and get up on his feet, showing great balance and strength as well. And remember now, we're in the second round, so we're in the 6 minutes of fighting here, and there's just so much heat and humidity. These guys, they're not slowing down. This is tough stuff down here on the ground. Finally, Jakubowski lets fly with the right hand. They're tied up in the ropes now, and the referee, Sean Brockmull, will have to get him out of there because
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got Foster laying right across the bottom rope with his head out on the apron. I'm surprised that he's let it go this long. These fighters have to be turned back towards center.
Well, he's letting him go, even though he could hang his chin up. Now he stops him. And all he does is spin him around, and that's what Jeff was calling for a couple of times.
Yeah, that's the standard practice, is just turning the fighters' heads back towards center ring, which will open up the action and get the ropes, take the ropes out of play.
A little bit of a right-hand blast in there by Foster. Jakubowski up here now. He'd like to get some shots down if he can. Of course, Foster wants to keep those legs in front of him and hold this guy off. He likes fighting from this position, but what's he going to do offensively?
He should up kick from there. Jakubowski's head was right there for the taking. Foster was unable to capitalize. I think he was thinking about it, but he didn't commit.
Well, he's got off a couple of light kicks, one to the knee and one to the